Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Mario Nawfall X Spaces. You have made it here early and live with us today on Mario's account with also Pulse Digital, that's me, and my co-host again today, David. I'm excited to see you. How are you, sir?
Pulse, I'm doing great. It feels like I've seen you before today. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but absolutely love being up here in Spaces. Always something fun to talk about. And, NuLink, I'm excited for this one. They're doing some cool stuff.
Me too. It still feels like the first time, though. I won't go into the whole song, but I'm excited to be here with you alongside all of the guests that we've got coming, the speakers that are going to be here, and also NuLink, which, as you mentioned, is our guest and sponsor today. If you've read the title up top, it says, How to Stay Ahead of Crypto Scammers with NuLink, and also hashtag Crypto Daily. So what are you going to be able to do while you're here? One, you could raise your hand, request a spot. We're expecting some guests and speakers, but feel free to raise a hand. Number two, if we can't get to your raised hand, if we can't get you in a speaker spot yourself, the next best thing you can do is comments. Look at the bottom right. That number is going to go up throughout the show, but the earlier you get there, the more visible your comment is going to be. So let's rush down there now and let ourselves be known. Get a comment down there. Let everybody know what's going on. Leave questions for us, for our guests, or if you hear something throughout the show, that's the best place to go if you can't get your speaker spot. Also, the share button still works. You can put the spaces on your timeline if you know some people that might be interested in it, or you can DM them directly if you've got some security experts or people who might have relevant contributions. You can get them in here with the DM. And last is the emoji button. Hit the button. Let us know what you think. Thumbs up, thumbs down, heart buttons, laugh, react. Let's share our emotions together. That's what the button's for. That's why they call it emojis. So David in the co-host spot, some familiar speakers filling in. I see people as they get their spots and stuff. We're going to bounce things around to them. But starting right out of the gate, the concept of Web3 security, or just web security as a whole, is obviously something that there's a lot of spaces you could do and talk about it over and over and over. But I'm excited to get into it with NuLink. I noticed a couple of things as I was reading the paperwork that were familiar terms. And one thing I've been trying to learn a lot about lately is this homomorphic encryption, which is one of the words I saw. So that's the thing I'm excited to learn from them, because I know that they've used some of that. And I've been learning about that. David, do you have anything that jumped off to you that you were looking forward to?
Well, now that you mentioned it, Pulse, homomorphic thing encryption is one of my specialties. I'm excited for them to come up here so I can fact check them and make sure that they know what they're doing. But the title, the clickbait, how to stay ahead of crypto scammers, I'm always on the lookout for that.
I'm here for it. So whether or not it's just basic security, like avoiding links to click, or it is the HME, the encryption layers and stuff like that, we're going to dive into it with NuLink. We've got, I believe it's Anna that's going to be jumping up here with us. And as I look, let's go through microphones. My visuals might not be showing me all the speakers. David, is she up here?
I do not see her. I see Zillion, who has been up here with us in a few spaces. I see you. I see me. I see Mario, and I see a few people just begging to come up, but they're not raising their hand. Anybody?
No worries. We'll wait a second and they'll fill in, I'm sure. But when they get here, just if for some reason, because I tend to have problems with my visuals. My Android phone does not like spaces. If they get in here, just don't let me steamroll. I want to make sure we give them a chance to say hello. We are going to be getting into later in the spaces. They will have a dedicated AMA portion coming up. But for the remainder of the spaces, you guys can basically saddle up, because we're going to be going through some basic news, headlines, things that have jumped out across the week that we're going to touch on. And what we want you to do is raise a hand, come up, and help us editorialize the news. We want your opinions. We want to hear what you think of what we think, or what your take is on these things. And hopefully we've got some experts in the space so that when we touch on any given subject, we can get some pros up here and rotate through. So this is your chance to go be a part of the Mario show with us. Raise a hand and jump up. And David and I have had a busy news week. We've been back and forth. We've talked ourselves silly on a lot of subjects. And I know Zillion's been here, so no disrespect to Zillion, but we've already jumped into some subjects with him too this week. And I know we don't need to dive into the same stuff. But let's just do general market stuff right off the top and see if anybody bites, because I wrote down 3 things that I'm ready to go through. 1, Bitcoin is still boring, but it did go up a little bit. A little bit, not a lot bit. Like we're talking like 3-4%. And that's great, because we've had some spaces before where we talked about that not being as exciting. I think a lot of this is off the back of GameStop, which David and I have beat to death this week with Roaring Kitty coming back and stuff. So we don't need to go ultra deep into the Roaring Kitty return, but I do think that there is positive sentiment for degenerates in many sectors. And I think that you guys would probably agree with me, right? David, just degeneracy is on the rise this week, maybe?
Oh, absolutely, Pulse. And that's what I pay more attention to. There is something that caught my eye that just gave me a little bit of more faith in the degen side of things. Poly markets, like that's actually a company that I follow, and all of the degens love it. You go on there, any type of prediction markets for whatever you want, you can make one that's not there, and they just closed a big round. I mean, they brought in 45 million, bringing their total to 70 million, and look, I mean, I think they even have Vitalik involved. That's something that I'm paying attention to. All of us degens over here, like we love the speculation, we love the fun, we love the predictions, and seeing something like that makes me think that whoever is investing in them, all of these companies that are watching companies like Polymarkets, they think that it's going to get bigger, and that's something that really piques my interest.
And you're the first person I had actually heard talk about Polymarket. So when I saw this, it's funny that you went to it because I was going to wait and see how the conversation went, but I actually have to figure out more about Polymarket. David's got me up against the wall on this one for not having my facts about Polymarket. But you're right. Anytime anybody's going to get a $45 million raise for it, it means that there's more than a few people that are interested in what they're doing. So I'm going to look more into that one as well. Zillion, do you know, just because you're up here, are you familiar with Polymarket, or are you like me in the dark on this one?
Yeah, I've been playing around it actually the past 2 weeks. It's very interesting because by its nature, it gives you kind of a sentiment of on various issues. It's decentralized, I believe. So I think it looks very promising, and it looks like it's capturing a lot of attention. So yeah, I mean the subject there are very diversified, very varied. And you can take a bet on almost anything. So very interesting stuff. I'm not sure if there is any public play to it. How can I play that other than participating? Do you guys know?
Oh well, look. Let me point one thing out. One of the parts I was just looking at while we were doing the last space. You can make some predictions on Roaring Kitty. So I'll let you do with that information what you guys want. But anything up out here in Web3, a lot of the spaces are talking about, hey guys, just throw it up on Polymarket, and on top of that, they've got a banger intern. Love following the intern game out here in Web3.
Oh, isn't that funny how crucial that can be? You're talking about the person that's probably running their X account. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Pulse, it's a reality TV show out here half the time. I see intern battles, people trying to ratio each other. It brings some excitement to our space.
That's so true. I'm going to circle that, and I'm going to check on that. Between now and the next time I see you in 24 hours, I'm going to know a hell of a lot more about Polymarket because I don't know enough about it. And reminder, guys, just because you're on a Mario show, nothing up here is ever financial advice, DYOR, BYOB, and all that stuff, because me and the David and the boys are up here just chopping it up. We're not endorsing necessarily anything unless it's up there in the title. Those are the sponsors of the space. So if Polymarket grabs your interest, just remember it's totally your own thing. But I'm going to look into it as well, just because it showed up on the news. That's a big number, and it grabbed people's attention. You did mention that Vitalik, you said Vitalik was involved, right? So that's big. I think that's big.
Yep, he is. And there's more, too.
All right. Well, at the risk of going too deep into it, I am glad you brought that up because I actually had already circled it previously that I didn't know enough and was going to ask more. And thank you, Zillion, for saying that you'd gone because that gives me more confidence that it's not just David. So I wanted that secondary confirmation to be like, all right, cool. David's the only guy I've ever heard talk about it. I'll have to take a look into it, but I appreciate that. And nobody else, I see Cecil, I'm going to get your name wrong because I don't want to click on the button, came up too, man. What's up? Or maybe he can hear me.
Nope, I see him up here. CZ.
CZ? Maybe he got four months in prison. He's in 4 months in Twitter jail. CZ in jail. Bummer. Spaces have been weird today, though, David. We're 2 for 2 on spaces that have been weird. You might have to rejoin if you're having problems. We had a few speakers in a previous space that had to disconnect and reconnect, so apologies on behalf of X. But if you have to jump out and jump back in, that might be part of the problem, too. And if any of you are raising a hand and it's giving you grief, because I don't see all the hands necessarily, sometimes you might have to jump out and jump back in. It's been that kind of day. Hate to give that kind of a update on stuff, but it's been like that.
Let's see. Well, we got a few new guests up, and I see NuLink requesting down there. We'll get you guys up right away. Adi, what's up? You're joining us from the other space. Your space is hopping with us.
Yeah, I'm starting to become a regular with you guys here. While we're on the topic of poly markets. I'm actually quite familiar with them.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay,
that must be
perfect.
Anna.
It's Anna, the CMO from NuLink. Sorry for the delay. Got confused with this time zones.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for finally getting in here. We're excited, actually. We were talking a little bit about NuLink before we started the space, and we were just doing some general news and stuff, but I'm glad you finally made it in. Sorry about the time confusion.
It's fine, no worries. Glad that I actually didn't miss it.
So
well, we are glad you didn't miss it too.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, oh man, me and Pulse are playing like unmute tag with each other. Let me just jump in. All right, and so how we do things, we're going to talk a little bit about the markets, the crypto, all of the fun stuff that we like, some of the topics that pertain to you. Last 15, 20 minutes of the space, we're going to dive right into it, talk all about NuLink, ask some questions, get a little bit of back and forth. I think I got it about covered, Pulse.
Yeah, you're good. One thing I would ask, though, that we would have done right out of the start would be we would ask for like a 60-second kind of a pitch about what we're going to hear later, because since we don't go right into everything, if you are here now and could you give us like a 60-second introduction to what it is NuLink is offering? Because we've talked a little bit about staying ahead of scammers and security already, but what are you guys offering specifically?
Well, briefly about NuLink, we are focusing on providing some privacy-preserving technology for DApps, and it offers an out-of-the-box solution that enables developers to implement strong encryption and access control for the sensitive data, such as, I don't know, let's say health records or NFTs. The platform combines the blockchain technology, PRE, ABE, and ZKP. I'm gonna explain more about what are those weird words. So yeah, secure multi-party computation and PHE, which is the fully homomorphic encryption, to offer enterprise-level data sharing and computation services. NuLink has progressed through various development phases by now, and that's including the release of our core library, API library, and the testnet. Currently, we are running the third phase of it. So yeah, aiming for full integration of the ZKP and FHE systems into our mainnet. I think it's coming very soon, yeah, in the nearest future.
The takeaway for me is enterprise level, because she's not just talking retail. In order to make secure transactions at levels that are really, really significant, these are the types of letters that, if some of you aren't familiar with, they're going to need this type of security, or they're going to want this type of privacy before large scale transactions are done back and forth. Despite what you may hear about blockchain transparency being awesome, there are still a lot of reasons that people would want more secure, invisible, and layer 2, because it's cheaper, faster, and with less eyes on it. And FHE and all those other letters that she's going to explain all play a role in that. From my very, very narrow understanding, please don't take me as an expert on this. I'm walking a thin line of knowledge, but I'm excited for you guys to get into it, and I'm glad you made it in here, Anna. We were giving the microphone to Addie right before that happened, right, David?
Yep, absolutely, Addie. We appreciate you waiting, bearing with us. Over to you.
Spiked him. Kept running back to the phone. Can you hear him coming back? Like, oh my God.
No. That had some problems there. But I don't want to switch topics again, though, because we're talking about poly markets and then we're hearing the NuLink pinch. As I was saying, if I could finish that off, poly markets is a really interesting platform. It's really the only platform in the predictive market space that actually has any kind of traction. There really isn't any other platform that has any kind of users or volume happening on any blockchain. Polymarket is exclusive, the only one. And I think the interesting application of predictive markets going into the future is how we're going to view news, especially in the world of deep fakes that we're about to head into. Being able to decipher what's true and what's not true, what's factual, what's false is going to become more and more increasingly difficult. And the only solution, quite frankly, are predictive markets, where actual capital is at risk and they're incentivized to tell the truth, right? Otherwise, they incur loss. So predictive markets is going to be a very staple core of society, I think, in the future. Maybe it takes about 5-10 years to get there, but it's definitely going to be how we interpret news and comment, current events in the future, in my mind.
It's crazy to think about 5 to 10 years in crypto's timelines in my mind. That's just so wild. But even if it takes that long, a few other people came up in the middle of that. We're going to switch because we were, like you said, finishing up the poly markets conversation. We are still talking about the title up top says how to stay ahead of crypto scammers with NuLink. And we have basically just a whole discussion about web security is what we're into. So I'd be looking for anything related to web security as well as the things that NuLink are working on, which some of those things were, like we were talking about, fully homomorphic encryption, which is, if anybody knows about that, is essentially just packaging up things to be done where they are not the keys are not given away when these things happen. It's like 2FA for the blockchain, basically, is the best way I'd describe it. So they've got some exciting stuff they're going to be talking about. David, I'm looking at a list of other questions and stuff, short of jumping right in with NuLink. What do you think?
I'm very interested in it. I mean, I didn't even know. I was joking earlier. I am not a world-renowned expert in the whatchamacallit kind of thingy-majiggy, but 2FA on the blockchain, very interesting to me. I cannot wait until we dive right in.
Well, I would wonder if anyone here, I'll ask NuLink just because it's a great subject that's not just related to them. Can you briefly, and more better than I could, explain what fully homomorphic encryption really looks like for those that might not have ever heard of that? Why is that such a popular term right now? Because I know it's being worked on in a lot of different places.
Oh yeah, sure, of course. Let me explain you because I'm not the technical person, but that was really interesting for me as well to know more about what are those really special words meaning. Um, yeah, let's say that. Yeah, about those unique features. In today's world, like we're almost everything is online. Keeping our digital lives private is super important. And think about all the potential stuff you can have floating around on the internet, like messages, pictures, bank details, without solid data privacy measures. All that information could easily land in the wrong hands, leading to stuff like identity theft or even just creepy target advertisements. Plus, it's not just about keeping your own secret safe. Companies and governments have rules to follow about handling the data, and they need these solutions to stay on the right side of the law and keep our trust. So it's all about keeping our digital world safe and sound. Let's say you are using I don't know, online investment. Yeah, just some quick example from the life. Investment platform, and that's the place where you manage your savings, stocks, I don't know, retirement funds maybe. So this platform holds sensitive financial information, including your bank account details, invest choice, and potentially even your social security number. Data privacy solution here ensures that this highly personal and financial information is encrypted and protected against some unauthorized accesses. It means even if a hacker manages to break into the system, that cannot be re-encrypted, and the details you're trying to keep safe, it's going to be a secret for the person because let's say we've wrapped up the information you want to share with the platform, and it's only you and the person you're sending it to who have the private key. and you need that private key to open it from both sides. So the person who's trying to steal that information from you, they're just gonna get the blind box. There's no way they're gonna re-encrypt that information, even if they get it. So your financial information is secure, and your identity is secure. Yeah, that's a
So
super easy explanation about what is that.
I love that you had to quantify that as being an easy explanation. I'm going to try and paint it a different, because I know some people are visual. I think David will love this. David, close your eyes for me. You have a magical box, okay? And what you can do is you can put messages inside of this magical box, okay? And then you lock it, and you've got the key to this box. Only you can open this box. And you can give this box to whoever you need to. You can send it with your message in it to give it to whoever you need to. And they cannot open the box. You have the key. You've got the key to the box, but they can add things to the box. They can put things in the box. They can run calculations and stuff, but they can never open that box. And you can get it back and have all that stuff back. You're the key holder for the magical box. So fully homomorphic encryption is not important to focus on what the name means. It's just a thing. So FHE is like a way for you to safely ask someone else to do calculations for you on something, and then you get it back without ever having exposed yourself to the actual risk. Can you picture that magical box? Does that work?
Oh, Pulse, every time you do that, we've had this type of segment a few times in our spaces. Whenever you tell me to close my eyes and imagine it, I don't understand before. After you do this, now I completely get the concept, head to toe, all around. I love how you explained it, and that sounds very important. I mean, I'm kind of curious on why more projects, more companies out here in Web3 aren't advising their community, aren't telling their users more about something like this. I mean, look, there are a ton of problems in Web3. Like, we're not perfect. We're fun. We're entertaining. We have the best spaces out of anywhere. But, you know, there is still some room to grow and still some things that we need to do to protect the users, protect our friends, and our fellow community members. So, man, Paul, you nailed it. How do you do that?
There's honestly ChatGPT. Stuff like that is super helpful. I would suggest everyone if you ever get confused on anything, I'd love to take credit for being some sort of multi-brain ridged genius sitting on a throne made of brain matter. But I'm familiar with FHE a little bit. I already knew about it a little bit. But honestly, go to an AI someday, put in a complicated question and say, explain this to me as you would a child, and see what it gives you. Sometimes you'll be upset at yourself because it'll help. And then you can step your way up, figure out how to learn things. Go from the bottom up, you guys. Welcome to Mario's prompt class. Hi, I'm Pulse Digital, and today we're talking about how to learn complicated subjects like what NuLink is doing to keep your ass from losing crypto because you didn't understand things like FHE. Hi, I'm Pulse Digital with my co-host David. Saddle up. You're going to learn how to use things like GPT just to stay safe out there because everybody wants your stuff and it's dangerous to go alone. Here, take this sword. If you get the reference to that, 10 points to Gryffindor for you. Let's do the room reset, because otherwise I'm on a rant. 132 comments in the bottom right. I'm super proud of you guys so far. We're doing great. We're coming up at about halfway. Nice time to interrupt myself. If you haven't already shared the space, please share the space. If you got here at some point before the beginning, welcome to it. We're talking with NuLink today about how to stay ahead of crypto scammers. That means a lot of different things, like what we were just talking about with FHE. That might mean obscuring your data as it goes from place to place. It's like walking around sometimes on the blockchain with a transparent purse. You wouldn't want to do that out in public and let people know what you had in your bag, where you were going with it. So maybe sometimes obscuring your stuff is important. That's one way to stay safe. Don't let them know what you got. So we're going to dive into more subjects like that with NuLink, and we're going to let them describe more about their technology and what they're doing. But in the meantime, if you have anything you want to contribute, raise a hand. Contribute in the comments, and that's how you're going to do this. I see we've got some speakers up. You guys feel free to raise your hand. I know this is some deep scam related stuff, but I'm absolutely here for it, and I'll GPT anything you get hung up on in real time, because that's a service that I apparently offer now. David, do you ever use GPT for stuff like that? I'm sure you have.
Pulse, I love GPT. GPT, ABC, all of these different prompting AIs, I got to try them at least once, and you know, they're great to work with. I also try to ask it a few questions every now and then. I get a lot of DMs from these scammers. Some of them sound legit, but I've gotten in a habit of plugging them into ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT, hey, Does this sound legit or not? And there have been times where it told me not. And, like that might seem like it's enough for some people, but that's not enough for me. I need to be 100% sure that I am going in the right direction. That's one of the reasons I am even more interested in hearing from NuLink. Like, one topic that I really want to get into, and I want to ask all of the speakers up here, why does it feel like the security in Web3 is kind of falling behind or just lacking what we're used to? Like, there's no big antivirus. There's nothing where we have a variety of leaders trying to teach their community about Web3 based security. Like, what, Pulse, why do you think that is?
Man, diversity and siloing of communities, I think, is part of that, because people just get into their own little places, and maybe they don't come out and hear the messages from other places. It's also easy enough for those of us, if we're in a space like this, because we would consider ourselves maybe more versed. We don't repeat the basics. This is true of anything that you get more and more skilled at. Sometimes when I'll use a good example. David, you might like this. If you were to go to Mr. Olympia and ask him what made him Mr. Olympia, the most muscular guy on the planet, and you said, "Hey man, what workout are you doing right now?" He would give you the workout he's using right now, but you don't need to know what he's doing right now. You need to know how he got started. Right? So when we talk about security, those of us that have been in the game, we start talking about high-level shit like FHE. And for your normal person, I saw a guy today on Reddit, I read a story about a noob who clicked an approval that he shouldn't have because he was FOMOing into a Roaring Kitty Discord server that required wallet connect, if I'm remembering that right. And it was just one of those stories that you and I might look at, or NuLink is going to look at, or Zillion and any of you that have got the experience to be in a place like this. And you're just going to be like, well, what the hell's wrong with you? And it's like, well, come on, though. Like, you forget what it's like in the beginning, and you forget the mistakes that you might have easily made. So I think some of the guilt lies on just the ease of forgetting the repetition of the small basic things, just like it would be in any other profession. Sometimes measure twice, cut once, goggles on first. The things you have to teach a tradesman. I'm sure you guys have done that. Has anybody here ever trained a new guy in a job where you've had to just be like, oh my God, I have to tell you everything? Welcome to security. I bet NuLink, man, I bet the chat that they deal with and the questions they deal with, you got to be really resilient to deal with new people all day long. I'm not making fun, but I think, David, I think the blame lies everywhere, and I'm not trying to just spread it out, but it's on all of us a little bit.
I completely agree, Pulse. Look, we're in Web3. Regardless of what people say, it still feels like the wild, wild west at times. I do look to certain leaders in the various communities that I'm in for advice, but, at the end of the day, it is up to the user. The big saying is, not your keys, not your crypto, not your security, you won't be secure. I don't know, I just made that one up on the spot for all intents and purposes. Mario owns it because it happened in his space. Don't anybody go out there, put it on a bumper sticker. But I want to get some thoughts from the other speakers up here. Let's see, I like to play eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You guys aren't raising your hands, I'm just going to call on you. Crypto Lord, what do you think needs to happen for more security for everybody to take security in Web3 more seriously?
Great to be here. Security is something that has been preached for a very long time. Even when I was actually starting crypto in 2017, I started with security. How to secure your phone, how to secure this, how to secure that. But I come to realize that these hackers, these scammers, they are like ahead of the developers, the good guys. I'm going to say, like, the bad guys actually are far ahead than the good guys. Like, the moment you are learning this security, you are trying to be protective. Another vulnerability will just spring from nowhere and just come and attack. I just opened my Mac laptop yesterday to just do some work, and I discovered that Apple was warning me that they have some complication with their Apple so that I have to change some password in my laptop and all that. So, like, I don't know these guys. I don't know the school they go to. I don't know how they have this edge over the good guys in the space. Security is something very, very serious that we need to take very serious. Like, you may want to copy a wallet from your system to send phone to, and before you know, you are pasting a wrong wallet address that look like your own. That was how that guy actually lost over 1,000 something BTC. So security in this space is something that keeps evolving. We just need more of the good guys to actually to actually improve and actually be ahead of the bad guys, because the bad guys in this space, I think they're actually working more harder than the good guys.
Oh, 100%. And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. Something that one of my friends who's in marketing told me is that when you see something, one of these tricky gray hat social media techniques really picking on, catching on, that's usually because, I don't know, the scammers, they just happen to know what's going to work best. And we need to have companies, we need to have leaders in the space that are on top of that. We need the leaders watching the scammers so that they can warn the community members. We're the community members. I am that guy who calls customer service and complains, and they just tell me reset your computer, and somehow that works. I need to make sure that it is simple, that it's easy to use, that I can click a few buttons and be protected. Sounds like that's something NuLink's doing, and I can't wait to dive into it with them. We've got a new speaker I just brought up. I think, Mark, I want to get some thoughts from you before we jump into something else. I mean, how important is security in Web3?
Hey, yeah, man. I mean, obviously, we know so many hacks have happened in this space, but security is super important. I think the number one most important thing, though, is the education around people taking responsibility for their own security. And yeah, I'm definitely interested to hear what NuLink has. If it's something that can help the everyday average user, take security into their own hands and amplify themselves, it's great. One thing I will say though about it's an unfortunate thing about these hacks, but it seems like some of these hackers are like some of the best marketers in the space, right? Because they're able to capture so many people's attention. So definitely need to find a way to slow them down. But yeah, at the same time, make sure the focus remains on being in charge of your own, security, not like relying on other people to do it for you, which is kind of what happens in the Web 2 world, right? Like a bank is taking care of your security, etc.
So I'd ask you a question, David, because a couple of you mentioned you might want to look to someone, or someone in the industry needs to take the lead. I don't think, obviously, we can expect any one person to be the person that everyone looks to, but there are names, I think, that carry weight. And I'll start at the top of the list, and you let me know if you think I'm headed the right direction. What do you think of Zach XBT?
Oh man, I love Zach XBT. I love reading the Twitter threads, all of the investigative kind of stuff. To me, he is our version of Inspector Gadget. Like, Web3 would not be the same without Zach XBT.
Okay, what about CoffeeZilla?
All right, look, CoffeeZilla, I like his YouTube videos. I don't know. People tell me he's accurate. Everything that I've seen seems to be accurate. I did see something where he called out Nick for this choose rich thing, and I don't know if that was orchestrated. It was kind of funny to me, but another leader. Like, if you see something on CoffeeZilla's channel, chances are that he's done his due diligence, and it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Okay, I'll go deeper. What about Boring Sleuth? You know this one?
Oh man, I don't. I'm drawing. Look, the name sounds very, very familiar. I do recall that. But
see, I'm trying to go deeper and deeper as we go from the top that I think people would know, because I think Zach XBT is very well known for being the anti-scammer, and CoffeeZilla obviously with the reach. Boring Sleuth is a guy who's done a lot of looking at the ETH Foundation and some really cool investigations in that direction. And I know he's pretty popular. He's got a huge following and stuff. So that's someone I follow, just when we're talking about security follows. And then the last one I can think of is someone that I follow that just relentlessly pursues stuff would be Bitfinex. Do you know that one?
Yes, I do know that one. And there is actually one company that I've personally used, and the only reason that I use them is because I saw them on Mario's TV show Killer Whales. Like, I don't know. That was pretty cool. Like, I like the idea of having a browser extension, of having an app, having something that will just, something pops up on your screen, you get the red warning signals, and that tells the user that they need to take a second look at it. They need to pay a little more attention. That's very important. So being on Mario's TV show, being up here on our spaces with us, that is one of the best ways to get me to download a browser extension.
Yep, visibility is key on stuff like that. Even Uniswap had to eventually figure out a way to put bigger warnings in front of people too when it came to slippage and sandwiches and RPC changes and stuff like that. They were scrutinized relentlessly for the snail's pace at which they updated their stuff, because that's user protection should be UI forward. I don't know how many people in the space. I'm sure I could see emojis if I scrolled. There's probably a lot of people in here that do graphics and user interface. One of the harshest things is just when you can see something that was basically just maldiagnosed designed or designed in a way where it was just too easy for the user to make a mistake. It's not even malicious. It's just like, oh damn, that could be crafted in a way where the button was harder to screw up, or those buttons could be further apart. So I'm sure there's all those so many little things that I would have to tell people about. As we come up into the this area here where we would normally kick off the AMA, which I'm ready to do because I didn't see any hands up or anything like that. Anna, are you ready? Because I've got some questions that I want to get into that are very specific to NuLink. If you're ready.
Yeah, sure. I'm here ready to answer.
Excellent. So we had a brief explanation earlier of what you were doing at NuLink. So at risk of diving in too technical, because remember the audience we have here might not all be entirely technical, could you please explain what it is you're doing with NuLink and what the project itself aims to accomplish?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So at NuLink, keeping in Web3 world safe is a big deal for us, and we're all about making sure everyone's digital space is secure. So here is how we are tackling network security in Web3. We love the idea of spreading things out by decentralizing. We cut down on those big risks that come with everything being in one place. Encrypting data is our gem. It's like putting your digital stuff in a safe nobody can crack it in. Before any smart contract hits the scene, we give it a thorough check over to fix any weak spots. We've got our eyes on the network 24/7. Spotting anything odd means we can jump on it fast, and sharing is caring, I believe, especially when it comes to security tips. We're always chatting with our community about how to stay safe, what's happening in the field. Working with security whizzes help us stay one step ahead of those biddies we just discussed. Making sure our defenses are top notch. So for us at NuLink, it's not just about fixing problems after they happen. It's about making sure they don't happen to our users in the first place. Keeping the Web3 secure is what we are here for.
And when you are working on this, obviously this is a long-term plan that you guys have got in place. Can you tell me a little bit about the roadmap that you put down, either things you've already accomplished or things you're currently working on?
All right. Let me find some tweets as well and share it with the community. Hold on.
Sure, no
And
problem.
then I'll explain. Yeah, basically, I think that okay, hold on. This one, and then
Nice. Get some pins up in the top. You guys, while she's doing that, remember you can also have your websites pulled up. If you're looking at NuLink online, you can click on their profile, pull up the website. Would be another great way to get there too, so you can see not only what she's got on the pin posts, but also on the website is a great way to follow along.
right. Yeah, so getting back to a question, I think that it's also worth to mention that we are quite a mature project. We've been on the market since 2021. That's exactly when we started to build NuLink. So over the past years, there have been significant advancement in our underlying technology. Particularly in enhancing the efficiency and scalability of our encryption methods. Our vision has involved not to only focus on privacy, but also on making our technology accessible to a broader range of applications in different industries. We are actively developing our product, and up to now, we have completed the second phase of the ORS 2.0 testnet. Right now, the third phase is ongoing on CoinList. And with over, I think, 100,000 people participating in the second phase in the entire testnet incentive activity, where the number of addresses of the testnet already exceeds 600,000, and at the same time we are actively deploying on major public blockchains. Right now, NuLink supports BNB, Xlayer, Conflux, and Polygon, and we keep expanding the number of the supported networks. Yeah, and for those who's interested in participating in the testnet activities, you can find the information on CoinList main page. It's right there, where you see NuLink. It's all about us. Yeah, and for the roadmap, I think that the biggest upcoming event is going to be tomorrow on 16th of May. We are going to be launching our token on three major exchanges. One of them is Bybit. We just finished the IDO sale there. Bybit, KuCoin.
Just me, David? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Pulse. I think we lost Ann.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I got you back. You paused on you for a minute, but I've got you back.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I was saying about those three exchanges, and the listing is happening tomorrow on 16th of May. You will find the information in the pinned messages. Yeah, basically, I think that that's the most important the plan for the next couple of months, because already a lot happened to us, and yeah, just shared the most fresh news with you.
Those listings are awesome. It was Bybit, and then you said KuCoin, and then it paused. What was the other one? I got to scroll up and look at it. Bybit, KuCoin, and scroll. Sorry, I don't want to miss it.
Bybit, KuCoin, and Gate.
Oh wow, yeah, that's exactly where it paused. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That'll be a big deal. Through on the same day. That's really cool, and that's also a lot to manage. So, shout out to whoever it was that had to set up all three of those and manage all that liquidity. And you guys are going to have. Are you guys doing a launch party or anything anywhere?
I don't think so. That we don't actually have any time for any kind of parties. Maybe only for some kind of online activity.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, sometimes I've seen like Telegram groups maybe do a VC or something. So I didn't know if we were going to direct anybody to be around. Sometimes when charts go live, it can be a bit of an atmosphere.
I think that for now it's gonna be enough for the community, because we keep our community super engaged, and on a weekly basis we have some online activities and incentives happening for them. Yeah, so I guess for now that's gonna be enough. The team is super busy with the integration to all of those exchanges and the launch of the long-awaited token, because it's been 3 years for us, and of course our early adopters, investors, they can't wait for this day.
Very exciting. Well, I'm excited for that. I had a question because I saw this word come up sort of like earlier when I asked you to explain FHE. And if this is too deep, you don't have to go too deep into it. Maybe we can simplify it if I have to. But you guys talk about using zero knowledge proof and using that at NuLink. Can you give us a taste of what that is? What is zero knowledge proof, and how does that apply to what you guys are doing?
I was mute. Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, so I think that most of you have heard about the ZKP during the last year. I think that the last year was the most active phase for that. Yeah, so the ZKP are not just a hot topic. They are fundamental algorithm that always has some use cases. As a pioneer in the field of the data encryption, we perfectly utilize ZKPs to address the usability issues between data encryption and sharing, ensuring the accuracy and reliability of data for those who wish to access it, even when it's encrypted. Technologically, we not only use ZKP but also employ PRE and FHE, as we mentioned before, and other significant cryptographic schemes. So all of this makes NuLink a comprehensive and closed-loop data security encryption solution for the businesses and for the retail users. The buzz around Z-key technology has quieted, I think, as the novelty has worn off, but the work behind the scenes has deepened, in fact, and this maturation phase is critical for refining the technology for NuLink. This doesn't change our strategy, but reinforces our commitment to being at the forefront of the Z-key applications.
That's excellent. And I don't think I'm going to break that down any easier for you guys. But again, if you get hung up on any of this stuff, remember, like I said, GPT is your friend on that. Any questions, David? Have I got through anything here that has made you think of anything? I don't want to keep going over you if you've got anything.
Let me see. I mean, they talked to us a little bit about everything, to be honest. One thing that I am curious, and it's similar with every project that we bring up here. I need to know more about the token pulse. I mean, DGen at heart, tokens are what I count before I go to sleep. NuLink, can you tell us a bit about that and how it really pertains to your ecosystem?
Yeah, for sure. That's a fair question. Well, when it comes to the token utilization, I think that the main application scenarios for the NLK are transaction fees generated by some on-chain interactions, such as encrypting files and sharing the files. Also, we provide the storage services for the information, right? Because once you encrypted it, you need to have a place to keep that information. So, which is also one of our part of our business model. I think that for those who really wants to deep in the details, you can go to the website nulink.org and find it in our white paper. And in our tokenomic model, 30%, which is, I think, if I'm not wrong, if I'm correct, it's around 300 million tokens. It's allocated to service providers and stakers. So this substantial proportion is a benefit that NLK holders will enjoy. Additionally, NLK holders can also participate in our DAO governance, ecosystem development, and various other profit layers. Of course, we will also open up more activities like slot auctions for token dividends in the future. Our community will be informed once it's up. So yeah, let's wait and see. And for sure, I would recommend to hold some NLK. Because that's dedicated to become a leader in on-chain privacy by offering the scalable and seamlessly integratable privacy solutions. I didn't mention that before, but for the developers, it should be interesting, I believe. To implement our technology to your DApp, you only need to use our API point. That's it. So I cannot say that that's a couple of clicks. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but it still feels as a seamlessly integratable solution for any kind of DApp.
Ease of use is so important. It's going to take that to get people to do anything. People are so into immediate gratification these days, so it's crucial. And thank you for mentioning that, because otherwise that might not have come up. So developers out there, if you're interested in that, simple API connection is awesome. They've made it a lot easier. I had maybe one or two more questions, but I'm looking for anybody down in the comments. If you've got hands up now for questions, would be the time, as we're headed towards the final tail end of the spaces. Before we do the wrap up, now would be the time. So questions about crypto security, questions for NuLink, questions and concerns about anything else that came up, now would be the time to dive in. What I would also ask for NuLink as we kind of go towards this final five is kind of a broader question, but both for the people that are here in the spaces that are meeting you for the first time, hearing you, Anna, and hearing about NuLink altogether for the first time. And then for people that might have come from NuLink that followed you here and they're excited to hear what you're talking about. They're already here to support you. What are your final thoughts? Like, what are your thoughts before you would leave the spaces? What would you want everyone to leave here thinking about and thinking about NuLink?
Oh, again, I was mute. I think that right now we're at that point where everyone should be really focused on how to keep your data secure. Because after I've been talking to so many people, I realized that they are not really aware of those potential scams. People think that if it's just blockchain, it's already secure, but this is far away from the truth. Like your information, any kind of information, can be stolen from you, and it can be used against you, or your relatives or your friends. And the sooner people will realize the importance of that, the safer the industry is going to be, and the less unpleasant situation you're going to have in Web3.
Those are great points. And I'm glad we had this conversation. And David and I talk about this smarter every day, because I know that people in here are walking away from something out of this conversation that they either hadn't heard about before, or maybe they're going to be inspired to dive deeper into, which I would say thank you to NuLink for inspiring people to maybe take their security a little bit more seriously, and for allowing us to have this conversation today, getting together, hosting the conversation up here with Mario and myself and David. It's good because you don't know what anybody's going to walk away from, but they're going to walk away at least considering these things, or putting them into GPT at least, and maybe asking GPT to consider these things, offloading the work. David, before we make final rounds, any final thoughts for them? Any questions for anybody?
Yeah, I actually do have one more question for NuLink. It's something that might not seem important to some, but I think it's one of the most important things out here in Web3. That's the ease of use. Like, something as complex, something as complicated as cybersecurity, protecting users, safeguarding all of your data, wallets, everything. It needs to be easy to use. If it's not simple, if I can't do it, then I don't expect anybody else to do it. And I'm curious on where that really falls on the priorities list for you guys over there at NuLink. Like, what you're building. Is the most important thing just to ensure security no matter what? Or, I'm just curious on where usability, on where the simplicity of use falls on the priority scale for you.
All right, that's good one. NuLinks make sure that our platform, the entire ecosystem, works smoothly with lots of the different blockchains and storage systems. And oh wow, what's that creepy sound at 2 a.m.? I'm so sorry. Here's how we keep things flexible and compatible. So we're using the modular design, and our platform is built in pieces, so it's easy to connect with new technologies without big changes. As I mentioned before, we already published the API library and the universal APIs. That's what we are using, and we use special connectors that let our platform talk to different blockchains, making sure it can work with many. The cross-chain technologies, and this helps our platform send the data and transaction between different blockchains without a hitch. Another point would be, I think, that the community input. We always listen to what developers and users say to understand what they really need right now to work together better. The smart networking. Our platform can store and find data across various places, not just sticking to one option. By doing all of this, NuLink stays really adaptable and ready for new tech, and easy to use with different blockchains and apps and storage types. I hope I answered your question.
Yep, absolutely did. Absolutely did. We greatly appreciate all of that, all of this educational content, making sure that the users are safe, people know what they're doing, not clicking the wrong things, only clicking the right things. This was awesome. I actually learned something here. I know that there is a better solution than copy pasting a message I get in DMs into ChatGPT. An eye-opening experience, epiphany, life-changing for myself. So I greatly appreciate you guys from NuLink coming up today, as well as all the listeners. I mean, you guys tuning in here with us, dropping all of these comments, all of these questions, wanting to know the best thing to do, wanting to make the right choices. That's one of the most important things out here. Not your keys, not your crypto. You need to take security into your own hands. You need to make sure that you yourself are safe. When you have companies like NuLink up here doing spaces with myself, with Pulse, with Mario, trying to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. One of the most important things in Web3 is just paying attention, making sure that you don't steer down the wrong path. And, you know, what better way to do that than hang out in Twitter spaces and just learn about all the cool stuff going on. So once again, I want to thank all the listeners for coming out. You are all incredible. All the speakers for coming up. We can't do this without NuLink. Also, thanks to you. Pulse, Mario, you guys are the best, and hope everybody has a great day.